Hey, what's up, Dean? See your performance. We're back down. We got Jeff's S10. We're pretty much wrapped up with it for the most part. So I'll show you what we got done. Don't mind all the handprints. I got the hood latches in, the recessed hood latches. Those are all done, lined up good. Then we did his hood shocks to finish everything up. We got all the AC components removed. I mounted his transmission dipstick there, but I don't really like it there. I'm not a fan of those dipstick tubes. They're really small. The tube there, it's really small, so it's less than a finger width. So in order to fill your transmission through the dipstick tube, you'd have to have like a really tiny funnel, but is what it is. We got the new radiator core support in, and like I said in the last video, I think I said it in the last video, it's a really nice piece. It's all aluminum. It's 1-inch square tube, 1/8 inch wall, aluminum sheet, 1/8 inch aluminum sheet, and it's all laser cut, like real nice laser cut and everything. We got it positioned in and found out that like the headlight holes were drilled low, the grill holes were like drilled low. It was like real weird, like the front end wouldn't line up correct. But it looked like it was just sagged really low. So he contacted the guy and back and forth, but I ended up just correcting everything, just drilled new holes to raise the headlights up. And I kind of bent the tabs for the grill. The two center pieces here, like you can see his hole's way down there. It's like way, where's it at? There it is. Way down here. And this is, the tab. So in order to get that to line up, you'd have to like bend the hell out of the grill, and might not be the greatest thing to do. But I just kind of bent the tabs up as much as I could to kind of get the grill up and in place as much as I could. The other thing I found, the horns are gone now, but like where the truck had maybe been hit before and they cut the frame rails, they literally like plasma cutted the frame rail. You can see right there, like it's a real rough jagged cut. And then just kind of welded the horns on, so it made the bumper sit too high. So we had the headlights low, the grill low, the bumper too high, nothing lined up. So I went ahead and I just cut the horns off again, that were welded on. I cut all their welds, cut them off, and then I made, like out of aluminum square tube, I made a bracket, whatever you want to call it, for the bumper to bolt to. And I'll put a couple pictures in here where I didn't have anything on the truck. Got a belt on. What else? I mean, pretty much everything's wrapped up. The brakes are all bled out. The steering wheel is on. The buttons all hooked up. So he's got 2-step on this side, line lock on this side, I believe. The transmission, torque converter lock, mode A, mode B. We got a shift light in. Dashboard's all back together, with all the AC components removed. I mean, that's pretty much it. I just have to do the 2 little patches for right there. That one right there. And then there's one up behind the dashboard on the firewall. But I got the sniper system pretty well dialed in. for idle. So you could see it's cold, 97 degrees. I mean, that's cold for Florida. So we'll give it a shot here. Like with these throttle body kits, they take a hair bit longer to start, just because they have to see the crank signal from the distributor turning. That's how it picks up a crank signal, is from the trigger in the crank. So it takes a couple cranks longer for it to actually fire off, but it starts right up. And I played with the idle air fuel. This motor tends to like to idle a little bit more on the rich side. It gets a little finicky if I try and lean it out like a 14.2, 14.3 is kind of where it starts to act up a little bit and not want to idle real nice and smooth. And it was hard to keep the IAC low. This number here, this 19, as you can see, it's still coming down because it's still warming up. Once it's up to temp, it's in the 2 to 6 range. So you want the IAC to be as low as you can at full temp, above 0, but somewhere between 10 and 2, 3, somewhere around there. And to be able to hit your target idle, which I have is 780 is the target idle for warm. And that was kind of a good number where, like, you put it in gear and it won't want to stall out. And how it was stalling out before, like if it was in gear and you would throttle into it and let off, it would stall out. So 780 is like it's a pretty good number for his truck. I've also got the MSD atomic transmission controller. The one downside to that, truck's almost out of gas too, but the one downside to that is, like, I got the oil pressure working, coolant temp to the best of my knowledge is working, battery volts is still working, but the speedometer, you can't take the signal from the transmission, from the speed sensor, and split the signal off. So it comes from the transmission, it comes into the MSD box, the transmission harness, it all plugs into there. And I tried using the speedometer output to the speedometer, and it would just show like 80 miles an hour, and the MSD was showing like 10. I tried running that speedometer signal into the original speed buffer and wiring that all in, and it showed no speedometer. signal over here because it wasn't picking up the 2 from the VSS, the speed sensor. It didn't have the 2 signals, the low and the high, into the buffer box. So I couldn't use the buffer box, and if I try and split the speed sensor signal into the buffer box, it lost the speedometer on the MSD and it lost the speedometer on the dash, so nothing worked. So I ended up just disconnecting that. You got speed on here. It's a little hard to see because of the orange glow, but you got speed on there. It tells you what gear you're in, it tells you what mode you're in, shows your TPS, shows your RPM, and it also has transmission fluid temp. Right now it's in mode B. I was playing with it yesterday. That's mode A. So now you can see the IAC is down. It's almost right there is temp. You can see the learning is going back and forth. So it needs to be 160 for it to start learning, which is what it's going to always learn. But you can see the RPMs are, you know, pretty close to that 780 target, and the IAC is down now to the 6-ish area, and it'll come down a little bit more as the temp goes up a little bit, and it'll try and nail that 780. But you can see it's still, you know, 13.5-ish air fuel, and that's where it wants to be. Like I was saying, if I try and lean it out anymore, it doesn't like to idle. But truck runs good. It does burnouts. I'll also post that in there because that was his requirement. Do burnout or he's not picking it up. I have a few more things to just kind of go over. I got to switch out the wheels. He got a different set of wheels over here. Like those, the Jags. I don't remember the name on them, but he got those. But yeah, on Jeff's S10, Jeremy coming up with the Corvette. He's coming up today. Monte Carlo, I got the block completely torn down, washed it 5, 6, 7 different times, and I got the ring pack. All the top and second rings are in there, all gapped. And I always like to keep really good notes on what I'm gapping. So, you know, with your ring package comes with a card. I'm trying to find it. There it is. And it gives you a recommended gap. So you multiply this number by your bore size. So in this case, it's a 4-inch bore. It's a 6.0. So you would multiply this number by 4 inches, and this is what it gives you for recommended. This is the second ring. So I write them backwards: second ring, top ring, because I install them in the block. Second ring, top ring, and that's how I gap them. Then when I pull the pistons, put them on the rods, I know that the first one I pull out is my top ring, and the second one I pull out is my bottom ring. It's just, for me, it's a thing I do. I personally think that these numbers are a little on the low side for like a high boost. So I go ahead, I run my second ring. I usually try to get it like 28, like right here, 28, 26 on the top. So this one was a little on the big side, 30, and then all the way down. I keep notes all the way down. And I'll also do that on the bearings. When I install the crank, the machinist helped me with that. He'll come over and like mic out the crank each main journal, each rod journal. He'll mic out all of those, and then we'll dial bore every main. And if it's not within spec, then I'll bring it to the machine shop, have them line bore it, turn the crank or polish the crank a little bit to get that spec. But 9 out of 10 times they come in really good. But that's for a different video. This is about Jeff's truck. Jeff's truck is pretty much 99% done. I'm gonna go through, check all the fluids, and put some gas in it, take it for a ride, make sure the transmission shifts through all the gears really good, make sure the modes work good, and then yeah, I'm gonna hand it back to him. So we'll do a final video when Jeff comes to get it, if he ever comes to get it. If he doesn't, then I got a really cool S10 for sale, cheap. So cheap, it's ready for nitrous. All right, I appreciate you watching. Hit the like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified, and leave a comment. I appreciate it very much. Have a good day.